Well, this time last year, Bitcoin was trading at less than $40,000. So, I think the big round number aside, the reality is this does look like a pretty sustainable leg up in the market, whether we get to 100K or not. And now I think everybody's just trying to figure out what will be future drivers of similar rallies.
How would you describe what's brought us to this $99,000,
$99
and change level that we're already at? Is it just all, post-election people getting excited about Trump in the White House?
No, people started getting excited in January of this year when the SEC greenlit, even if grudgingly, the existence of, spot Bitcoin ETFs. We had another leg up in around March or April when it finally looked like some kind of interest rate, a lower interest rate environment would, generally benefit risk assets, of which digital assets absolutely are perceived as a risk asset. And then later this year, getting into early fall, so September here in the US, when it did look like, Trump's odds, at least on Polymarket, were pointing him towards the victor in the election, that we started to see that real run up. And then, of course, on November 5th and 6th itself. And now here we are.
What is your take, by the way? A little curveball question here.
Love a curveball.
What is your take on the betting markets? I mean, the polls have been wrong since Brexit, right? But betting markets, I'm not sure if they point us in the right direction. They're right minutes before usually the result. But this election season, they seemed pretty good.
Yeah, I do want to point to something that our colleague John Authors wrote a couple of days ago. He did a very deep dive into what Polymarket got right and what it got less right, shall we say. But I think the broader point is, if you care about sample sizes, if you care about demographics, if you care about people who aren't just the ones that have crypto wallets and know how to bet on things like Polymarket, then you should put a little bit more say in polls. And at least as it relates to the election, it's not that the polls weren't like categorically wrong. There was absolutely some categorically wrong polls. But Polymarket's enthusiasm for Trump tended to slightly lag some of the other polling that we were seeing, and there were still cases in which, there were people who were betting on a Harris victory even when it became clear that that didn't seem possible.
You can type NI authors on the terminal to get all of John's work. And definitely worth reading that column. I checked it out as well. Back to Bitcoin. I know, we went from 1,000 to 10 in like 11 months. And it took us 7 years to get from 10 to 100,000. What are the targets you're hearing from the sources that you and your team talk to?
I mean, the truly Bitcoin to the moon people are like 1 million is the next big number, which, sure, there are more zeros in 1 million. But I think the enthusiasm is coalescing around like a 200K number, which again would be a doubling of where we are today. And the arguments are as follows. Under a Trump presidency, you're going to have a regulatory environment that is a lot more explicitly friendly to crypto. There's the possibility, as we have scooped, that there may well be some kind of crypto czar with a direct line to, positions of decision-making power over financial markets. There is the likelihood that new and more retail-friendly Bitcoin, Solana, Ether types of products get approved. There's the possibility that, Schwab, as you mentioned, and other very traditional financial services firms might offer more crypto products. There's a possibility that the US might have a strategic Bitcoin reserve and, collect 5% of the world's Bitcoin at a time. And so for all of these folks, they see nothing but tailwinds. Like they fully expect that the momentum is going to be on the side of digital assets.